Well, good morning. How's everybody? Good? So you know there's going to be a question, right? Well, now you know. So if we're going to commit ourselves to truly continuously improving, what's the very most important thing we need to learn? I asked this last time, so any of you who were here last time. It's the most important thing we need to learn. Brian? No? No? More fundamental. That is a great answer. It's a great answer. So we need to learn how to see waste. To learn how to see it, right? Because we walk around and it doesn't leap out at us. Does anyone remember? This is an easy one. Does anyone remember what our acronym for waste is? Downtime. Very good. Very nice. And if you remember from last time, what's the most important or dangerous waste in that list? Aha! Yes. Front of the class. Awesome. Yeah. So I challenge everyone here to recognize that that is the most important waste, and one of the best ways to minimize that waste is to go out to where the work is done and seek to understand from the people who are doing the work what is happening there. And just by showing that respect, spending that time, and humbly listening to what they're doing, you are effectively minimizing that waste because you're getting their diverse and unique perspective about the actual work. So we've got two updates this day. One is the Water Quality Lab, and they did a great job of looking at the waste of how we do that job. And then we've got an update on safety as well, and I'll turn it over to Jean.
All right, well, we're going to start off this morning again with the water quality value stream. I just want to say that this particular team had gone through a lot of data. There's a lot of data mining that happened ahead of time, incredible amount of data mining to understand exactly what is the customer looking for from us as a water quality group. And so it was a great piece of work done by this team. So you're going to see a lot of really good work over the course of the year. And with that, I will turn it over to Fred.
Good morning, everybody. So for those of you who know me, it was intentional that I was given 2 slides to talk about today to make sure that you get out of here before 5 p.m., okay? For those of you who do not know me, my name is Fred Sanchez. I'm the Water Quality Operations Manager, and I am the process owner for this water quality laboratory and water quality operations value stream assessment refresh. Why refresh? Our original value stream was dedicated to determine our new water quality facility design, actually looking at the footprint that we need for a new design. This value stream is focused on our customers and stakeholders. So I'm going to introduce our team. So we have Don Reyes, we have Craig Lamacraft, Rhonda Birdnow, Joel Zededlik, Ted Nicholas, Scott Franey, Bruce Dahm, Christina Burry, Ed Rubenstein, Craig McGonigal, and Jan Jalmini. Did I get it? All right. So Don's up next.
Cool. This is a good one to start us off. This was a hot topic this morning. We were over in the other room, and this one actually got revised. And I thought Rhonda was going to take Fred down on these changes, but physically take him down. But it ended up working out all right. But our reason for action was to further define the processes for our customer and to ensure that we're meeting their needs. There's a lot of processes, as you'll see, that take place in water quality. And I think I heard it from Craig yesterday. You know, we touch every 1.4 million customers. So we have an impact on every single one of them. So that was our reason for action.
So for the current state, we split off into 2 groups. One group drew the current state, and the other group put words to the current state. I'll just go through that picture on the top left. That squiggly line in the middle represents the chaos of all the requests coming into the water quality lab. The requests for reports, for data, the samples coming in. To the left of that, there's somebody sat at a desk and you can see all of the work piling up around them. There's a clown who's sad, juggling all of the different tasks that they're trying to get accomplished. To the right of that, there's an hourglass and a clock, which represents that there's not enough time to get all the work done. Further down where that equation is, that's a piston, which represents the building pressure to get the reports done and get the data out to the customers. Those two angry faces at the bottom left, that represents water treatment trying to get reports from water quality. They're frustrated they can't get the reports. Water quality are frustrated that they can't get the reports out to their customers as well. On the right-hand side, there's a cliff which represents the mountain of work which the staff are trying to get accomplished. You'll see there's some people which are crossed out there as well. Some people left the lab. And then on the bottom right-hand side, there's some question marks through a hallway, which represents our customers turning up at the lab with samples. They're trying to get them checked in, and they can't find anybody to receive the samples. And then that picture along the bottom, that represents a customer's pain points, which we reached out to the customers, and that's what they identified. So that's what we built the current state based upon.
Excellent. Do not like following up after that accent. That's not good. No way I'm going to sound as eloquent. So, so obviously key to this event was the voice of our customers. So about a month ago, Water Quality held an event at Marston Complex, and we brought in the voice of our customers. So we reached out to our external customers, our internal customers, and this really turned out to be just a fantastic event. I think that particularly Fred and I going into this maybe had a little bit of trepidation of what were we going to hear, what information, but I think our customers, what came out of it, was really appreciated being brought in and asked, what is your opinion, what are your needs, what do you think, rather than us maybe in the past it's going to them, kind of speaking to them. So I think it was just, I think it's a great model to follow. It was fantastic to be able to just one-on-one engage with them, and we really kind of divided and conquered and kind of partnered up and worked with them, and got a lot of information, got a lot of understanding of their needs. Even a comment was made that, are your other sections going to do this? So take note, engineering. And so I think there's an awesome opportunity there to do this with other sections, other divisions. So great event, great idea, well planned, well facilitated. It was awesome. So that is what I've got on that.
So the ideal state part of it was up in your upper right, left-hand corner up there is the desk. So somebody walks in, and as a customer, they really have somebody to talk to, and they know a point of contact to start the data process part of it. Then on the right-hand side, to make sure Fred and Craig are happy with the way that process is going. With the sample part of it is get the sample turnaround time as quick as it possibly can and understand how that sample can be done, what timetable is really reasonable. Also, we talked about was that this doesn't just have to do with our potable water, but also the water in the mountains where we get our water to make sure we have healthy water in that area. One of the biggest things, too, is at the end of it is that person drinking that water understands that they have safe, reliable water, and they have data to back it up. And the final thing was to make sure that we can get reports out and get really good data that's efficient and really usable, that it doesn't sit on a shelf somewhere and nobody knows who uses it. That's what I did find out, as I wasn't the only customer of Water Quality, even though I thought it was, all right? So it kind of opened my eyes of understand that when I'm looking for data or I'm looking for something, that it takes some time to get that data.
So this is our future state map. You can see it there on the bottom. And I know that it looks pretty small, but this is at a super high level. So basically what we have is we have all of our inputs, things like monitoring plans, so on and so forth, that go into a black box. And the black box is basically where the work's done. So that would be sample collection, analyses, things like that, reporting, all that good stuff. Then we have an output that goes to our customers. And we also have compliance and completion kind of feedback loops that may go back into that black box for more work. If you look above that, we decided that what we needed to surround that kind of black box or surround the work was a set of framework. And so that black box framework kind of did like a formalized request process, a prioritization, and then supports the work being done with documentation, things like SOPs and standard work. And that really enables us to meet the expectations of our customers while still hitting a great turnaround time.
Thank you, Ted.
So as you can see from the photo, this is our gap analysis activity. All the orange stickies are pain points. There are a lot of them. There was a lot of data collected from this activity. You can see they're using the fishbone diagram to help sort the pain points. And what the activity does, as a reminder for many of you, we're sorting the pain points into themes, consistent content, so that the problems can be addressed together. So I wanted to highlight some of the themes that came out of it. We have capacity issues. We have roles and responsibilities. Who takes charge of new programs, who's in charge of current programs. We have project and program management, and we also have report out as some of the key themes we need to solve here.
So then we took those themes and we brainstormed, what is the root cause of the problems or issues that behind some of these things. So like one of the is getting data to customers. What are some of the challenges and how could we do it better? And then from that root cause analysis, we developed either just do it's, rapid improvement events, or projects.
Based on the brainstorming, we assessed those events based on an impact difficulty matrix. So we assessed the event, the just do it's, rapid improvement events, and projects based on the impact to our metrics and also taking into account how difficult it is to carry these events out.
So based on the impact to the organization, and as Bruce said, we broken all the work down into 3 different categories: JDIs, just do it, that can be done in 30 days or less, projects that are 30 to 90 days, or rapid improvement events, which take multiple resources over a week's time. We ended up with 11 JDIs, 9 projects, and 6 rapid improvement events. They're prioritized by impact to the organization and by available resources, and this is how they fall out over the next 12 months.
So what does it all mean? It means we got work to do. That's what that looks like. And so when we're kind of looking at the different flavors of work that we're going to be doing up there, we're going to be doing a lot of requirements gathering. We're going to be sitting down with customers and getting a little pushy about, do you really want this? Do you really need this? We've been kind of an open bar, and we're moving to a cash bar. So essentially, if you want it, you must really want it. So be careful for what you ask for, because you are going to get it. So look forward to that. Next picture, the top graphic are our metrics for showing initial and target states. You'll notice that there is an absence of lab capacity. We're going to be calculating that. We're going to be building that. We've had some staffing turnover. We've had some changes. We've got some new people in there. We've got some new processes in there. And so we're going to be building actual capacity plans to understand how many hours we require per year. The bottom graphic on our benefits tracker, you number of folks should be kind of scratching your heads right now. Where did those numbers come from? We're going to have to go back and do probably some more actual calculations and understanding of the things. One piece of contention is the second item there, data requests. Hours per year. We spend a lot of time just getting data for customers. And that turns into either a phone call or an email or something, or even a standing expectation. Tom, I see you nodding your head there. And what that turns into is somebody, some poor schmo, has to go and do a query, pull things down, clean data, send it out. And so what it looks like up there is that our future state, we will have the data to you before you wanted it. So what we need to do is really understand what those requirements are and get those times figured out. But that's where we're going, guys.
My second slide as promised. So Gene actually assigned me this project to come up with a communication plan. And of course, the OCD in me said, Fred, you need to have a template first before you can actually create the actual verbiage, provide the verbiage in the completion plan. So that's why it's blank. Her first response is, Fred, it's blank. I said, I know. We need a template first. So With that being said, officially, this report out is our first way to communicate to Denver Water what we're up to. From this point forward, we're going to utilize the communication plan to communicate to the core team, to our executive officers, and everybody across the board. There's several avenues of how to communicate at Denver Water. You can utilize the pipeline. There's several ways to do it. Well, you will potentially get a copy of this, and it won't be blank the next time. So that's the way we're going to communicate our VSA.
Right. To sum everything up, we absolutely learned a lot this week. I think even just from those in the room, learned a lot about water quality, what we do, what is the mission we serve, how many customers that we actually have. We have our core mission, which is really looking towards making sure that we are in compliance, that we have public health and best interest, and we're meeting those regulatory compliance needs. We have a whole lot of other work on our plate, and we've got a lot of other customers that we are trying to support and processes that we're trying to support. So I think it was very revealing, as Joel said, he thought, that he was our only customer. So, I think it was very insightful for a lot in the room. We learned a lot. We learned a lot more. We learned a lot about what our customers needs through that event that we held. That was, again, just mutually beneficial to both our customers and us. So very, very helpful in learning that. We learned about the need for the partnerships, of being able to partner for water quality and planning needs, forest, watershed health and planning, a lot of these processes. That's just one case of that where we have that kind of initiative. The other thing is that we're doing a lot of work, we're collecting a lot of data, we're producing a lot of data, but we struggle with getting that data out. So how do we do a better job of that? Because we do not have the capacity to do that to the level of customer service that we'd like to. So how do we do that? We remove the barriers to the customer. We make that data available to you. We empower you to give you the tools to access that data. So that really is, kind of one of the key outcomes of this, is that we learned that this is what we need to do. A lot of emotions in the group through the week. A lot of hangry people, a lot of brain energy being utilized. So a lot of feeling overwhelmed by the data. A lot of back and forth conversation. Our facilitators, Jean and Scott, really kept us on track, really cracked the whip a few times when we had to, let that dialogue play out when it was useful and important, but other times said, hey, we can talk about this later, so kept us on track. So they were fantastic. So but I think we're all optimistic. Questions, can we do this? Can we accomplish this in a year? Good question. There's a lot to be gained here. So I think we're optimistic. Great opportunity for communication, to improve communication. So some of our takeaways, obviously, the stakeholder voice of the customer was just mutually beneficial. We've got a lot of work to do. It's going to be a long process. We've got to stay on task, stay on track, but I think it really was a great event. It felt good to, I think at the end of the week, to feel like we've kind of corralled some things, feel like we've charted some things, and just better understanding overall. So it was an awesome team. It's a great event. Thank you. Any questions? Yes. Yes, so we brought in some of our distributors, so Inglewood, help me remember who all was there, Fred, but Inglewood, Willowbrook, Meadowbrook, State Health Department, thank you, that was fantastic to be able to have that dialogue with them as well, and then again, some of our internal people. I would say that initially, and feel free, anybody who wants to jump in on this, that it felt a little overwhelming at first. Like Jean said, we had just a lot of data. But I think we were able to kind of mesh that into some themes and sort of corral that. I think there's some things where we may even be in this process where we will go back and look at some of those, but I do feel like we were able to corral that pretty well because there's some common themes. Going forward, as we develop standard work on some of those things that we identified and processes, programs, there's going to be a lot of that will have to flesh out through that. That's a good question.
We did have the word silo show up, and then we put a just stop it next to it. So, there are some cultural things, but one of the things that I think we took away really well was that Joel learned he's not our only customer, right? And I'm being a little facetious there, but engineering, I think, has a different perspective of what we do and who we take care of, planning. And so, again, part of that internal meshing there, what we found out when we were in the trenches, as Gene described earlier this morning, was we were all still friends. And some of the insights that were at the end of the days were, we want the same thing. And so, to an extent, it wasn't necessarily you lazy bums aren't doing anything. It's how do we get this? How do we do this quicker? How do we do this better? It would be awesome if, and so there was a lot of, at least the people in the room, there was a lot of how do we do this together? And so I didn't really sense much cultural things. I just sensed that that's just the way we've been doing business. And it's not necessarily right or wrong, it's just we want to change that. So I don't know if there is any real cultural issues that we experienced this week. No, the lab started this. The lab reached out and said, talk to us, damn it. And that's, what we did. That's what the VOC event was with the Voice of the Customer thing.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. And I think that, we've always had a mindset of trying to continually improve, I think, for a long time. And so I don't think we really saw cultural things. I would almost say that maybe there's a mentality of what, not fully understanding what the laboratory does and what all of the roles that we do. So I would like to think that maybe some of that has opened up and maybe a greater understanding around all of everything we're trying to juggle. Yeah.
I wouldn't say significant. There was a common theme that we want information sooner than possible. We want it now, essentially. And so one of the things that we did see is that sometimes customers have to wait for actionable data. They have to wait for things that need to show up. And so it was not really surprising. We knew that, but what we learned, I think, what I took away from it was the intensity of that demand was much higher than I think we gave it credit for.
And to elaborate on what Craig said, with our external customers, with our distributors actually bringing them in as customers and or stakeholders, and the state health department officials, it actually filled some gaps that we weren't aware of. It was really cool to see that there were some gaps, even though we thought that we were conducting business the way we should be. We identified some gaps in dealing with our external customers. So through that current state mapping process, it really helped us see the big picture. So it was great.
Anybody else? That one? No, that one. Was that you? Or no, he-
Tattoos in the wrong
You may want to buy stock in 3M.
I got one other comment about it. Was one thing that if we didn't get caught, when we got caught of having side conversations during this, it kind of opened up some other doors to understand where people were coming from and what we needed to really start focusing even outside this VSA, so that our customers and the people we support, that we can give them more support and understand where they're going.
So I'm going to do this on behalf of Zeke Campbell. Zeke unfortunately could not make it. He was the executive sponsor for this, but he did say that Tom Rood was going to be here. So I don't know if Tom wanted to say anything. You can tell us how wonderful we are and all that, or how horrible we are. We can take it.
Yeah, no, actually, I got to spend about an hour just kind of trying to listen and watch what was going on. And maybe a good example that I think was the essence of your Voice of the Customer. Craig and Ed had a conversation, and they were talking about, I give you this, and Ed made a statement, well, I really want this, and I don't use this. And so kind of a calibration of understanding what's the most important, what do I really need to run the treatment plant, or whatever the customer is looking for at that point was an overriding theme. The lab is always, there's a million, all those sticky notes represent every single process and every single thing they do, and it is a mountain of work that gets done there. And there's going to be a lot of elements for you all to get that quantified and characterized, and then go through and prioritize it. You are going to have to say, we got to do this one before we can do this one, because it's more important, and this is why. And it seems like you guys have a really good foundation now to have those discussions. The lab's always been very, very good, very well intentioned. Doesn't want to say no. We want to always support the customer, and in some cases, that pile of work is a result of that. Ed was saying, I'm not sure I know exactly what I need in this case. It might be nice to have this, might be good to do that, but I don't know yet until I see it. And so that's good, but it comes at a cost of this big pile of work that we got to do. So I think you guys made a really good headway into, number one, understanding what the customer is needing and going to have to prioritize that. And then I saw on the other side the quantification and the business model that you put in there about how do we measure, this is the input, this is the output, and how do we treat that like a process that we can improve. Those two things going together, it's a lot of work, but you guys have a great plan to make huge improvement. And by a year from now, we're going to look back and you guys are going to have a great story about how much better it is. Not that it's bad, it's just going to be a lot better because you got the scientific way to attack it now. So nice job. I know it was tough. It was great to watch you guys go through it, and a lot of good stuff. So really thankful.
Thank you.
Okay, and then next up is Rob Richmeyer. He's going to be talking about the driving accident reduction RIE from giving you a 30-day update.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. Most of you know me. I'm Rob Richmeyer, and we participated in this event 30 days ago. It was a crucial event for safety, especially on backing accidents. So there's our team. What we had quite a mix from safety to trade shops to T&D to fleet, and Jessica is public relations. So when we started this, the data showed that we had this, if you can see there, we started with 72 collisions involving Denver water pickups. 24 of them were on our property and 28 were backing. And it just, all of us in that week, we just go, wow, how can that happen? And why? So quickly, because it just kind of crept up and no one really saw it until the end. Results started coming in. So we wanted to reduce that by 50%. So even that week of the event, we started talking about how can we get the message out there. So in my group in trades, every morning we meet for stretch and bend. Every morning we meet with supervisors, and supervisors meet at production boards. Every single day it was talked about. Get spotters when you're backing up. Make sure you have plenty of room when you're backing up. And we started implementing ideas of chocks and cones already that week as an experiment. So immediately the results went down. We have had one backing accident since that event. So we can see the fruits of the labor very quickly through communication. So here's our metrics, and during the safety improvements we found that week 20, it was not hard to find 20. All of them were set in motion with Maximos and fixed. Even there was one actually out here on the floor. The floor was caving in. We had that fixed the same week. So that was a great week on safety. So on our completion plan, we have gotten everything in green except for the Smith system. We're still working on that. That is a training system that people will go through, hopefully on the online. John Baker's working on that very hard to get that implemented with the rest in the group. And I took it. It's a very informative communication of training. It'll really come in handy. The chocks and the cones, we implemented both. Trade shops never carry cones because they park in parking lots. There's no room on the current trucks at the moment for cones. So they found the chocks made the driver also walk to the back of the vehicle. So that's where they're at the moment. Cones we have in motion already. It's almost growing on its own. We got contacted by Moffett, I believe. So they're already utilizing it, doing it on their own without even us talking to them by using cones out there. So it's growing and growing, which is good. We actually captured a picture of one of our vehicles with a cone after that was implemented. So with this cone idea, in the vehicle itself, there's a sticker that says "Goal, get out and look," right at the door handle when you're getting out of the vehicle. When you get back in the truck, there's also another sticker, "Goal, get out and look," to remind you to go to the back. It just gives you a visual of what you might hit when you're backing up. So during this week, we talked about other experiments. During the VSA meetings, we implemented some. We tried backing in only. We discovered some treasure. Cameras need to be angled a little more on some of the service trucks. They discovered that it's a great practice. Other companies do it, so why can't we do it all? So we're implementing that as well, and we're having some great results from it. So some of the insights we found, communication was the first line of our action that week, and we started talking about it, like I said, in Jack's group as well. We started talking about it like just right at the ground level of who drives these vehicles. We performed more experiments like I discussed. We started with 28 backing collisions, and we ended up with one, I think, was the last week. So training is still being pursued. It's going to be a great training product when we get it on board. And as we said, we discovered the cone idea at the back of the trucks has been spreading. So treatment plants are implementing it all on their own. So it's been a good time on this event. Questions so far? Wonderful. Wow, thank you.
Is there anything else that the training team can do to help reinforce the communication?
Probably so. We probably could use some communication come out in conduits or something like that, just to help remind the general, this is what we're moving towards. Keep it in mind. So during my stretch and bends at the end, I talked about safety. I'm constantly talking about vehicle safety, weather type related or backing up. So I think it's the constant discussion. Any more questions? Fred?
Rob, did you guys talk about backing into spaces versus setting out cones behind the vehicle?
That was one of the experiments we had run. The construction shop did it, and also Craig had a group doing it as well. And that's where we found out that some of the trade trucks have cameras that are on a pivot, and they discovered they wanted their pivot a little higher. So, yes. I'm hoping. John's actually running that as we speak and trying to get that. And Brian, you may be able to add to that.
And it involved giving training to everybody in the organization who drives pickup trucks and specific for backing accidents as well as all the employees. It may not run through the LMS right away because backlog and other things like that downstairs and it's an hour, try it out. If this system works, probably need to go through a full recognition for that. Next year, actually, budget and not the anybody for it, but the goal is to try it out, see how it works. Pickup trucks and that, and that should be another recognition that we should have that ready to go.
Yeah, this one in the beginning, because of the numbers, it just screamed at you. This needs to be taken care of now. So. I believe that's already in motion, Jack.
Some of it is, you're actually starting to see the buy-in from your organization, Mike, where I was hoping he was in here. And then he's driving an SUV, and he pulled up behind him and dropped his phone for him, and I mean, so it's you know, the safety part is starting to take off. Not that we're not going to do it for those, but we're slowly taking the biggest chunk out and then taking it from there. Go back to that graph that you had that showed the statistics. Yeah, so this Backhoes and some other things didn't have nearly as many, so they're trying to use a Pareto analysis and look for where's your lowest hanging fruit. It was backing incidents and pickup trucks, so that's when this rapid improvement that started. And if it works, then the idea is to spread it. It's slightly normalized, but the bottom line is it's still, 75 accidents.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, this is extremely important in the way that you guys have done this, like, because the world gets big to try to solve it all at once versus, you know, right there, it's very visual, very clear. It's a big challenge right now. to get focused on that. Overwhelming, you know, to that.
Agree. Yeah, Josh. Dan Fish, Dale Kahn. And I sent them an email yesterday because the stickers are in, I believe, and we're going to try and implement where we have just the supervisors hand them to the drivers and they put them on themselves. So. Excellent. Thank you.